So it's challenge time again. I think it was Guido from All Handmade, link in description, who came up with this challenge. It's basically find something that is around 50 years old or older and restore it, give it new life, repurpose it, turn it into something useful again. So I had been given one of these some time ago, and the guy said, "Oh, this is older than I am. It's about 50 years old, but it's all wobbly. It's not the original handle that's on there." And I figured, why not try to restore this? But that would be a bit boring, and I'll just be sanding and polishing this until it's nice and shiny, and basically putting a new handle on it. I might still do that, maybe even a part of this video, but that's not what I'm going to be doing mainly. I found some other stuff that's over 50 years old. I found a couple of these huge brass shells. And I thought, well, you know what I do, I melt stuff and I turn it into other things. Now, melting something and then turning it into ingots is giving it a new purpose, but that would be kind of boring because I do that all the time. Plus, I don't want to melt these. But I found something even older. Now, I'm probably gonna get some comments about this. I found one of these made out of brass completely. This is a very old clothing iron, and what you do is you basically fill the thing with hot coals, and then the bottom part gets hot, and then you use it to iron your clothing. Of course, nowadays we have electric stuff and that has steam and whatnot, so this thing is completely useless. Plus, they are quite common. It used to belong to the grandmother of my mother, and maybe even to her mother even. So I just decided I'm going to repurpose this thing. I'm going to weigh this up, cut it into pieces, and cast something slightly more useful out of this. What that's going to be, I'll show you later. So I have very carefully beat the living crap out of this whole thing and got all the brass out. The handle is wood and is actually in relatively decent shape. I might keep this for whatever other project I come across. Now, even the screws and some of the pins were brass. There were a couple of tiny copper bits that were used as rivets, and there were even 2 steel screws in there. I guess these might have been replaced over time if they were ever brass, but all the rest is some big chunky heavy brass. Now there is some solder on here, and especially on this piece, which is probably a tin and lead combination, I guess, assuming, because it's quite old. I'm going to melt that off, and after that let's weigh this lot up and see what we got in ways of brass. Yes, that's getting hot. I see that dripping off. Oh, guess that's all. Don't think I've ever used this little mold before, but let's just make this little splatter of tin or solder into one solid little block. Nice little bubble of solder for my tin recovery project. Okay, let's see what we got. See what I got from this little blob of tin or solder. 2 grams. Awesome. That's a little bonus. Right. Oh wow, that's over half a kilogram already. The other big piece. Close to a kilogram. I rolled up the outer sheet. So that should be a kilogram. That's actually about what I wanted, at least a kilogram. A couple of more bits here. So 1171 grams. So yeah, for the project I need at least 1 kilogram, so this is perfect. Let's just put these in like this. There we go. Carefully slide those in. There. Back in the furnace. I also found a small spill that I never remelted. This is also brass. Let's see what this weighs. And I think I'll just add this just in case, I guess. So what is this? 87 grams, so not even 100 grams. Just add that in here. This should fit. Other way around maybe. There we go. All the way in there. There. Already at close to 300. Now we wait. A lot. While you wait, I'm gonna make the mold. While that heats up, this is what we're going to be making. A hammerhead. I 3D printed this in 2 parts. All the supports were in here, that's why this is a bit of a mess. Did some filing. Now my 3D editing skills are basically 0, so I downloaded this as one STL file, and I actually had to copy the thing and get basically the build plate like this, and then move the thing halfway through the build plate, and then have 2 of them, so that I was able to print 2 like that and have them be a 2-part mold. Because yeah, like I said, my 3D editing skills and the editing of existing STL files, I have no idea how to go about that. That's something I really need to look into. Now also, having something with a core is quite difficult, so I made a makeshift core that I will put in here. Fits very neatly in there, so that I can ram this into the sand, and then I have to make a core out of sand, which I will probably be using these parts for, and try to get like, I don't know, a couple of segments and stick them together somehow, and make sure that the metal will flow around that, leaving a opening for the handle. So yeah, let's ram this thing up, see if this will work. should have made little holes in there to put screws in so I could easily lift it out. How am I gonna do this now? Yes, awesome. Do over. Then make 2 or 3 pieces, 4, I don't know, to fit in there. That is 1. And so on. Let me see if I can get a decent core filled. Well, there's a party starting somewhere in the distance. It's Friday, so weekend, I guess. I've set up the mold, made a feeder because there's probably going to be shrinkage in a piece like this. I made a little pouring basin, got the core in there, and I hope that's going to be stay in one place. You can actually see that through the big hole. So let's see, there is it, and the metal should flow around that. Got 1 ingot mold set up for if I have leftovers, but I doubt it because the feeder is gonna take up a lot of metal. This was at max. I scooped off some of the dross and dust. I think this is all molten now. Yeah, need to scoop off a tiny bit more. Let me set you up for the pour. Come on, fill up the thing. There we go. And that looks to be everything. Let's clean out the crucible and wait for this to cool. Looks like a decently clean pour. Look at the shrinkage in there. It's doing its job, hopefully. Oh, I hope it doesn't shrink down too far, like all the way into the hammer. We shall see. So yeah, everything went in, didn't need the ingot mold at all. Let's see what came out. This is always the thing with when using green sand. The moisture gets pushed out of the sand. So the sand on the inside is all dry and the sand on the outside is all wet. Let's see. Ooh. That looks promising. Right, let's see. Yeah, looks good. Well, there's quite a obvious flash line and a bit of misalignment, but not that much. That should clean up pretty good. And now you can actually see shrink is actually substantial, and that's why feeders. So here it is, after a hell of a lot of cutting, grinding, sanding, and well, some polishing. I went up to, what was it, 240 grit, I think, and I'm going to leave it at that. Came out very good. I do need to finish the inside of this a bit so that I can mount it on a handle. But yeah, this came out quite good. Some tiny bits here that are little nooks and little dents. There's hardly any porosity in this because it was a very clean pour. So during dumpster diving I found a couple of handles in between all kinds of tools, and these are all not used yet, so wonder why they were thrown away. But this, I think the longest one is also the fattest. That would work well in getting that in there. I have a similar hammer, which is a slightly smaller head. Well, kind of looks the same size if you don't put them next to each other. See, slightly smaller size. This is a 800 gram and this is about a kilogram. So I wanted a big long handle, but unfortunately this is somewhat shorter, only by a little bit, but this should probably do well for a handle for this, and the smaller ones I keep for other purposes. I still need to get another handle on this thing because it's wobbly. Maybe I'll use one of the handles for that, because that's not the original handle that's on there. And again, this handle is too narrow for the brass hammerhead. Right, so gonna have to sand this thing down because there's a lacquer on it, and make sure that it fits. No experience with this, so what could go wrong? So I sanded this down quite a bit, and if it's going to focus, there we go. I gave it a bit of a curve and a backward curve here, and I put a little bit of a curve in here so it doesn't look like your standard hammer handle anymore, and it grips quite well, so I'm happy with it. Let's give this shaft some head. Wait, what? Let's put the hammerhead on the hammer handle. There we go. Nice fit. Let's get a wedge in between there. So I thought I'd sand off the remainder of this wood sticking out, that it's flush with the rest. But I have a 120 grit on here. At least I think it was 120. Oh no, it's 240. That's probably why. And this thing started burning, which gives me an idea, but more on that later. So this thing is about done. I'm going to do one more thing for the handle. I've seen this done a couple of times in videos. I'm going to burn this until it turns completely black, and then it should look something like this. This is a handle I did the test on, and I think that's a rather nice combination. Golden head and a black shaft. Some people might argue that a black shaft is better than a white shaft. Never mind. Let's burn. That turned out pretty well, actually. I sanded it down with some 240 grit, just a fine sanding to get the grain back in there. And by the looks of it, this came out pretty well. Now let's oil up this big black wood. Wait, what? No, enough with the puns. Let's just get some linseed oil, or in my case, weapon oil, which consists mostly of linseed oil, I think. I used this stuff before and it works pretty well, and that will make the black layer not stain your hands and stay on there for quite some time. And once I got one coat on, I'll wait a couple of hours, do another coat, and then wait a couple of hours, then do another coat, and do like 3 or 4, and then it should stay in there pretty well. Yep. So finally done at the end of this project. The handle came out very nice. Looks a lot better than the just bland light wood color. The head I polished a bit more and went to some higher grits, but a lot of fingerprints on there now. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this came out. It wasn't really a restoration video, more like a repurposing of the material. But I suggest you check out all the other restoration videos of everyone who joined in. I'll try to link everyone in the description. I will be making more hammers in different metals, and I will give the handles different treatments to make them look, well, special. And then I'll have all kinds of different looking hammers. Now I will probably not be using these. I will probably just, I don't know, make a large board and hang them all on there for some interesting wall art for in the garage here. You can call it the board of hammers. I don't know. So yeah, I had a lot of fun making this, and I'm actually very happy with how it turned out. Hope you liked the video, and yeah. There will be more. So see you all in the next one.